You know that feeling you get when you've got way too many projects on your plate? Maybe for you it shows up as nothing getting finished or feeling like you're not moving forward, like you're stuck. So there's so much here that we could unpack, but I thought I'd give you a few ideas for what to do if you have too many projects on your plate right now. Let's jump in.
Welcome to the Course Creators HQ podcast, helping you navigate the latest techniques for creating and marketing online courses. And now, here is your host, Julie Hood.
Hey, welcome, episode 174. And I thought this might be a really interesting way for us to end the year talking about projects and how to manage them better and sort of how to make sure we're moving forward on the right ones. That's one of the things I do heavily with my one-on-one clients, and then also very much so with my Launchpad students. So I think it could be something that could help you as we're kicking off into the new year. Here's some things to kind of help you manage too many projects and too many things going on. Also, make sure you listen next week to episode 175 because I'm going to be sharing, it'll be later in the week just because of the Christmas holiday and my kids are home. But listen in because I'm going to be sharing kind of a wrap up of 2023 plus a let's talk about 2024, kind of where I think things are headed, and it'll be a really fun episode. So hopefully you can join me for that next week. All right. So too many projects. And I was going back through, hopefully you do this too. You collect your content ideas. And at one point I had put together an idea for a podcast episode and talked about having too many projects and wondering what to do about it. So first thing, if you find yourself saying, oh, I just don't have enough time, or I'm never getting anything finished, if you're constantly feel like you're spinning plates but not getting results, this could be an issue for you of having too many things that you're trying to do. I heard it described once from a coach as trying to push 3 boulders up a mountain at the same time, or however many projects you have. You can't keep them all going, but if you could just focus on one of them and get it all the way to the top and roll over the top of the mountain, then you could go back and deal with the other ones, but get one all the way to the top. So if that helps, that imagery helps a little bit. The other thing that someone said to me, and I thought this was so good, is if you find yourself saying, I don't have enough time, we need to recognize that we are probably never going to feel like we have enough time to do everything that we want to do. Things are so different now because there's always something that we can be working on, especially as business owners. You constantly have this feeling of, oh, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, or I should be posting more on social media, or I should be figuring out how to do YouTube, or I should be creating another course, or I should be sending an email. Like there's always going to be this long list of I should be doing this. So we have to strategically decide, in my 24 hours of a day, that's just like everyone else, how am I going to spend it? What's going to be the most effective? What's going to move me forward in the best possible way? And I thought maybe a concrete example would help with this. So make a list of all of the projects that you think you have on your list right now. And how long is it? So I went back to this blog post, and it must have been a while when I was thinking about this content because I don't even recognize some of these projects. But let me just run through them real quickly so you can see. These were all things that I was like, oh, I should be doing some of these. So I wanted to expand my use of LinkedIn, finish my Kajabi Kickstart course, which, by the way, is finished. We had tax stuff that needed to be done. Normal weekly stuff, which I grouped into the client work, the podcast, sending out emails, doing the podcast rooms or my course students also, and also doing my clubhouse rooms. The next one was to expand on Twitter because Twitter Spaces was taking off at that point and Twitter Communities was new. Luckily, this one is off the list now, and I didn't spend a lot of time there considering where Twitter went. I also had expand on Clubhouse, which I did spend a lot of time on Clubhouse, and it was very productive back then. I met some new clients, some new really incredible people who are now friends and partners that I work with. So that was good at the time, not so much now. So, another one of those that can get crossed off. Find more joint venture partners, create new funnels, new lead magnets, and clean all of that up. I had YouTube and video on here as a project. At the time, we have the last few months of the year are big birthday and holiday seasons for my family. So that always created a lot of work outside of the business. It's just a lot of my time is spent on that. I wanted to get more guests on the podcast. I wanted to host a summit, test new ways of selling to reach my best customers. I'm not even sure what that I meant by that specific project. And then the last one on this list was Web3 and crypto, especially for creators. And thank goodness I didn't get to that project because that also would have been a waste of time. So, this was like 14 plus projects that were the current ones at the time when I was making this list. So what's interesting about looking back at the list later is to recognize, first, some of the things did get finished. Like, I'm really proud of the Kajabi Kickstart course. It's incredible for getting you going. So I'm glad I finished that. Also, really, really happy that I didn't do some of the things, the Twitter and the crypto stuff, Web3 stuff, that would have been a waste of time and not useful now. So, and then there's a few more things on here that I wish I could have jumped on, like YouTube, and always, connecting with more partners is always a good idea. So interesting to kind of look back and think about it. So my homework for you is to do something similar, especially as we head into a new year. If you're listening to this later, maybe you're heading into a new quarter or a new season and figuring out where to focus. So make that list of your projects. Just do a brain dump of, here are some things I am interested in, I'm thinking I should focus on, I want to learn more about, I think this could move my business forward. Make that list. And then here are 5 questions that can help you as you're trying to sort through it. So the first one is there anything on there that you can get rid of completely that is definitely one of these I should be doing and you don't want to, and you can give yourself permission to let it go? So is there anything like that? Number 2, is there anything I could give away to a virtual assistant, to a team member, to a temporary person? Maybe it's something they already know how to do, or it's something that can be easily shared and taught. The tasks that are really good for this are things that are very repetitive. So for example, one of the things I like to do is I have a spreadsheet where I keep track of all my numbers. It's the same thing every month. You got to go look up and see where things are at. So it's something I could teach once to an assistant and then they can do it and I don't have to worry about it. I just get to see it. So is there anything on your list like that? Next question, which one is going to support me in the short term and which ones are going to be good long-term places for me to focus? So long-term versus short-term. And sometimes you don't know, I like YouTube. I knew it would be good, but the time and the effort required to jump in, I wasn't sure there was going to be enough return there. So that's why I didn't jump on it earlier, but it's very much of a long-term gain. Almost everyone I talk to about YouTube talks about how they still get people watching and listening to their videos from 5-6 years ago. So same thing as kind of the podcast. That's that long-term discussion of having a content that sticks around and keeps connecting with the right audience for you. So something similar, like you could be doing blogging, that could be the same sort of thing. It also has a long-term effect. But the great part about that is it's giving you long-term traction as opposed to sometimes the short-term things like some of Instagram stories and things that disappear immediately. They're great for connecting right now, but they don't give you that long-term effect. So that's another question as you're looking through your projects to see. Here's another one. Which ones can bring in cash flow right now? So is there something that you could spend a few hours on and have maybe a new mini course, have something that you could be putting out to get cash flow right away? You want to have some both quick and longer term sales processes so that you can support your business and get that cash flow coming in the door. So we had the first of our mini course magic workshops this week, and it was so much fun. Oh my gosh. Not only did I really enjoy all of the creators who jumped on with me, it was just so much fun to see their mini courses come to life and to get to hear kind of how things were going for them. So I'm sure I'm going to do it again next year. So keep your eye out for that mini course. It was so useful and so helpful. So that would be something that you could do to bring in cash flow right now. Spend a couple hours, put it as a paid course, and start sharing it. And then the last question for you is, what do you have to do? So, like on my list, the tax stuff had to get done. The regular weekly stuff has to get done. Sending emails has to get done. So all of those things I think are super, super, just acknowledging like, okay, I'm going to have to do those. And I acknowledge that and figure out how much of your week they need to take up and give them time and then see what you have left. So based on what time you have left, then you can start thinking about how am I going to use the rest of this time. So I know some of you are also doing side hustles, which adds a whole different level because you're having to support your regular business, your job, and then do this on the side. So figuring out, what have you got open? Is it a Saturday morning? Is it a Sunday afternoon? Is it an hour on Wednesday mornings? You get up early and you focus on your side hustle on your course business. But figuring out those time slots and then committing to them will help a lot with this. And then another thing that really helps is being able to estimate how long things are going to take. And I'm just terrible at it. I'm just really optimistic. I'm like, oh yeah, I can whip that out of nothing. That won't take very long. And then it turns into taking 2 to 3 times as long as I thought. So that really can create this stress around too many projects and too many things that you're doing, because if you're like me, then you're overloading because, I can do all 5 of these projects and keep them moving forward. So I have to be very, very careful about setting aside enough time to do things. And then one last suggestion for you would be to make sure that you have some place where you know what your top, I'm going to say 3 to 5. Some people will say just 1, but there's no way I could just have 1 project. So let's be realistic here. So know your top 3 to 5 projects and know what you're going to do next on them. Have that list going. And Robert Allen has that great book called Getting Things Done. And one of the things I just loved from that book, I didn't agree with everything. Like, I don't do the inbox zero thing, but I definitely love this concept of projects. And he called it next actions. So always knowing what the next action is going to be, even if you don't have the whole thing planned out, you know what your next action is. So when you do get time, you've got it right there in front of you. You know, okay, this is the next thing that I'm going to be doing. So have some place where you are doing that, tracking that, keeping up with that. I use a tool called goodday.work to help me capture some of these projects and keep notes on them. So that can be something, or there's so many tools. Find the one that works the best for you. And my last suggestion on that would be to find one that you can use on your phone, that you can use on your computer. If you have an iPad, something that works across all of those. So no matter where you are, you can be adding thoughts and notes in when they come to you. All right. So those were the main concepts that I wanted to share with you today about too many projects. Make that list, ask yourself the questions, and then let's stay super, super focused in the year ahead on the ones that are going to be the most valuable and the most helpful. The other thing I tend to do with some of my clients is there is an order to building your online business, things you should focus on first and things you should leave for later. So make sure, whether it's with me or somebody else, just make sure that you have somebody helping you with those decisions, because I don't want you wasting time in the wrong place, and then that derails you from the things that need to happen early on or when you're at a certain level. So hopefully between all these ideas, you've pulled out at least one or two things that you thought, oh, this will be helpful as you're moving forward. That's my goal. And I am honestly really excited about 2024. I have a good feeling about it that I haven't had for the past few years. So we'll talk about it more next week, kind of where I think things are headed, but it's exciting and there's a momentum that I think is going to be super helpful. So have a wonderful, wonderful week. We have Christmas in our house coming up this week. So Merry Christmas to everyone else who's also celebrating Christmas. And happy holidays if that's not your thing in your home. But I so appreciate you. I thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing and following. And I'll add a new one, and that's sharing this podcast with your friends and your other fellow coaches and experts. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it. Have an incredible, wonderful, amazing holiday weekend and an incredible rest of the week. And I will talk to you next week. We'll talk about where things have gone and where they're headed. Take care, everybody, and I will talk to you soon.